We
are Lifespring.
Lifespring exists to demonstrate the love of Jesus Christ.
We provide exemplary pediatric care and innovative services to meet the needs in our community.
Our vision is to see our community transformed as we provide care that is
preventative,
relacionado,
holistic,
culturally appropriate,
y empoderamos.
We are addressing and eliminating barriers to healthcare, one child at a time.
Una familia a la vez. This kind of care goes beyond the walls of our pediatric clinic to the places where our patients live, work, and go to school.
That embrace the whole child, serve their family, and transform the health of our community.
Somos Lifespring.
We are Lifespring.
Welcome to Lifespring Community Health's 2021 Annual Benefit. Whether you have been a part of Lifespring since its beginning, or you are hearing about Lifespring for the first time, we are glad you're here. Today, we're celebrating the impact Lifespring Community Health has had and is having on children, their families, and the community in the greater Chattanooga area. And we're inviting you to partner with Lifespring to increase our impact and to transform the health of our community. It's been 2 years since our last Lifespring breakfast, and this year we had hoped to be in person so that you could tour the new facility at the Simpa Medical Building on the corner of 3rd Street and Central Avenue. But since we are virtual today, we wanted to still show you around. So right now, I'm standing in the Lifespring lobby. Lifespring is a nonprofit pediatric practice that provides health care to children, the majority of whom live in low-income homes. Our staff includes pediatricians, nurse practitioners, nurses, and support staff. We also uniquely incorporate bilingual community health workers who connect with families in the clinic, in their homes, and in the community. The community health workers implement interventions focused on asthma, obesity, social determinants of health, and mental health. Though this model exists in other cities, no other organization in Chattanooga is doing what Lifespring Community Health is doing. Over the next hour, you'll get to see 2 brand new videos about the ministry of Lifespring. You'll get to hear a musical performance by the Chattanooga Girls Leadership Academy Choir, and you will also hear an update from the co-founder and executive director, Dr. Michelle Pickett. Then, I'm going to ask you to give. I'm going to ask you to give to Lifespring so that Lifespring can serve more children and can offer hope and healing to more families so that together we can see the health of our community transformed. But first, I would like to introduce you to a very special guest, Karen Ellis. She's the director of the Edmiston Center for the Study of the Bible and Ethnicity in Atlanta, Georgia. She is passionate. She's passionate about theology, human rights, and global religious freedom. Mrs. Ellis is the Canada Fellow for World Christianity at Reformed Theological Seminary. She holds a Master's of Art in Religion from Westminster Theological Seminary, a Master's of Fine Art from the Yale School of Drama, and is a PhD candidate in World Christianity and Ethics at Oxford Center for Mission Studies in England. Karen has been a Lifespring champion since the beginning, and she is here to share with us a devotion. Let's welcome Karen.
In the beginning, God. These 4 words are the doorway to understanding the entire story of God's people from Genesis to now to Revelation. In the beginning, God. These 4 words tell us where we came from, where everything around us came from, what we're supposed to do with those things, how to treat them, and how to handle each other. They order our world according to how things were intended to be. They are 4 words packed with meaning, purpose, intentionality, and hope. And in spite of the brokenness that comes into this world, it's the purpose, mission, and blessed duty of every Christian to guide people back to the truths that flow freely once we enter this doorway of thought. In the beginning, God. For if in the beginning God, then because He is, I am. We are. As the old country preacher says, He's the uncaused cause of every bit of life we see around us. For no man made Him, and nothing caused Him. Our God is God all by Himself. We exist because of Him. And Genesis 1 and 2 gives us this beautiful enumeration of all He brought into being by divine fiat, by speaking life into existence. Everywhere He looks and speaks, He declares life. He hangs the lanterns in the sky by night and the sun by day and declares light and dark, heavens and earth, come forth and let there be light. Green grass, come forth and let there be life. Animals, birds, creeping things, ant and antelope, fish and fowl, come forth and let there be life. And each thing that's created is dependent on the thing that came before it to thrive. And then the Blessed Trinity, with all their creative efforts, being their work on their crowning creation, their masterpiece, Adam and woman. And He changes His agency because all of the special life He's brought forth, out of all of those things, this one is extra special. And so, rather than speaking, He rolls up His sleeves and divinely makes. No more let there be, no. Now let there be becomes let us make. Whereas the rest of creation was spoken into existence, this work is so detailed, so precious, so intimate that the Godhead puts their hands into it, fashioning humanity lovingly, carefully, from the dust of the earth and the rib of man. And the Bible teaches us that the making of humanity, our fashioning, was done with skill and artistry and purpose and meaning and lavish gifting of the image of God that no other creature in creation received. And in the beginning, God breathed the breath of life, natural, divine breath into our lungs that makes us from an empty, divinely crafted vessel into a living being, a nefesh hayah, a body of life. It's what makes us His. It's what makes us unique. It's what makes us human. And though our world has fallen into a sinful state from this place of peace and harmony and shalom, shattered by our own rebellion against the very one who created us and set us in the perfect place for human flourishing, we have a way back through the wisdom and sacrifice of the creative agent Himself, Jesus Christ. In the beginning, God, the very same Creator who hung the moon and the stars and the sun into place to govern our days, hung His head and died on a cruel cross, suffered in His body to redeem our bodies and our souls, to return us to a place of flourishing and better, to supply all our needs to navigate this broken world with its sickness and its death, to navigate with hope and assurance that in the beginning, God. And it's the duty of every Christian to bring this good news to every person they meet in their lifetimes, that they were intentionally created for better than what this broken world has to offer. And this is the mission of Lifespring as well, to declare the good news of creation and its redemption of humanity to every patient family through good health and flourishing, to declare in thought and deed and word and action the words the psalmist has left us in the 139th Psalm. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain it. Where shall I go from your spirit, or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you're there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand will lead me, and your right hand will hold me. If I say, surely the darkness covers me and the light about me be night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is bright as the day, for darkness is as light with you. For you formed me in my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. I would count them, and if I did, they are more than the sand. I awake, and I am still with you. All because in the beginning, God. Amen.
What an amazing devotional. Thank you, Karen. Soon, you will hear a special musical performance from the Chattanooga Girls Leadership Academy Choir, directed by Miss Sarah Pearson. But first, since you aren't walking through our clinic today, we have a video about a day at Lifespring. Take a look.
It all began with a free after-school clinic for uninsured children who were not receiving medical care, and the belief that God, our Creator, made us fearfully and wonderfully in His image.
With your support, we have grown beyond our wildest dreams. We want to keep growing and serving more children and families in the Chattanooga area. Christ's love compels us. Since 2010, Lifespring has been dedicated to carrying out the healing ministry of Jesus Christ to bring about the restoration of body, mind, and soul. We accomplish our mission through our pediatric clinic, taking a holistic approach, addressing each child's emotional and spiritual health, as well as mental and physical health.
But we don't stop there. In order for children to thrive, they need a healthy community around them. Lifespring's community health workers go where our patient families live, work, and go to school to provide services and support in their language, neighborhood, and cultural context. Some of the many resources we assist with include employment, education, food, transportation, and childcare. Community health workers also offer 3 programs. Our garden program empowers families to grow fresh fruits and vegetables at home and in community gardens. Lifespring's Get Going program educates and encourages families, empowering them to set goals and accomplish them through a healthy diet and exercise. And in our asthma program, Lifespring providers connect patient families with our community health workers who navigate families through diagnosis and home remediation. In line with our vision of providing holistic care, Lifespring patients have the option to receive counseling in their native language through local partners. Lifespring is dedicated to providing a safe place for children and adolescents to process their lives and the world around them. We have come a long way since 2006, but we have a lot more work to do. Join us in bringing hope and healing to uninsured and underinsured children and families in the Chattanooga area to transform the health of our community.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. It's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will make a change. We are all a part of God's great big family, and the truth, you know, love is all we need.
We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving lives. It's true, we'll make a better day, just you and me.
So send them your heart, so they know that someone cares, so their cries for help will not be in vain. We can't let them suffer, we cannot turn away. Right now, they need a helping hand.
We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving lives. It's true, we'll make a better day, just you and me. When you're down and out, there seems no hope at all. But if you just believe, there's nowhere we can fall. Well, let us realize that a change will only come when we stand together as one, as one. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving lives. It's true, we'll make a better day, just you and me. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day, so let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving lives. It's true, we'll make a better day, just you and me, just you and me. We are the world, we are the children, the
I'm in the office of the community health workers at Lifespring. Lifespring uniquely incorporates community health workers who connect with families in the clinic, in their homes, and in the community. Through Lifespring's Care Coordination Program, community health workers address social determinants of health by connecting families to community resources that support needs like food access, housing, and unemployment. Our collaborative partnerships allow Lifespring to address neighborhood and environmental factors that influence health outcomes. Lifespring empowers families to grow their own food in community or home gardens. They provide food vouchers to families to purchase fresh fruits, vegetables, and other essential groceries downtown. Lifespring families dealing with asthma are provided with improvements to their health and safety in their home environments. This unique model is thanks to the vision of registered nurse Jill Fickert and Dr. Michelle Pickett, who back in 2006 responded to a need in the community for uninsured children to receive medical care. Dr. Pickett completed medical school at Tufts University in Boston. She then went on to Mount Sinai Hospital in New York for her pediatric residency and fellowship in community and preventative medicine. She moved to Chattanooga in 1994 to work for Erlanger Health System's ambulatory and adolescent medicine program. In 2006, Dr. Pickett and Jill Fickert started the Children's Clinic at St. Andrew's Center, serving uninsured immigrant kids in downtown Chattanooga. 15 years later, Lifespring is a thriving nonprofit ministry serving children, families, and the community with the love of Christ. It gives me pleasure to introduce Dr. Michelle Pickett, co-founder and executive director of Lifespring Community Health, to give a ministry update.
Before the COVID-19 pandemic, African American, Latinx, and under-resourced people experienced significant health disparities. These disparities were magnified in the pandemic with higher rates of infection in Latinx and higher death rates for African Americans. At Lifespring, our patient families were in distress. Many lost jobs, housing, and access to education. Some lost family members and some were evicted. It was in these moments that Lifespring community health workers were there to comfort and pray with families, deliver food, navigate resources, and even plant gardens with families. To address barriers to access, Lifespring provided free COVID testing to the community. When vaccines became available, we stepped up to offer them in our clinic and in dozens of other locations throughout our community partnerships. We are grateful that we were ready and equipped to serve our community in such a time as this, but we couldn't do it without our faithful volunteers and donors. We ask for your continued support as Lifespring Community Health strives to be an agent of healing and transformation.
Thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives to join us in yet another Zoom event. Thank you to all our donors, individuals, churches, businesses, and foundations who make it possible for us to fulfill our mission and do the work that God has called us to do. Thank you to our partners in the community who co-labor with us. And thank you to all who pray for this ministry. It has been 2 years since we gathered together at our last fundraising event. Since then, the world has been a turbulent place, and the journey has been difficult for so many. However, Jesus sees and has been at work in and through Lifespring Community Health in a beautiful way as we walk alongside families during this time. Let's take a look at some of the ways we have been able to serve. Here are a few numbers. Let's start with 0. That's the number of days that Lifespring has had to close its doors during the pandemic. 2,364 is the number of children who call Lifespring their pediatric home. In the first half of 2021 alone, Lifespring has served over 4,000 patients through our pediatric clinic and COVID-19 vaccine services. We've done over 6,000 COVID tests since October of last year and given 2,720 COVID vaccines since February. 240 families received assistance from Lifespring community health workers in 2021. God is using Lifespring Community Health to demonstrate His love in the community of Chattanooga. Since last fall, we have expanded our clinic schedule to see more patients. We have particularly seen an increase in uninsured patients. To do so, we hired an additional nurse practitioner and a bilingual medical assistant. When we saw the need in our community for free, accessible COVID testing, we quickly converted our former location on Macaulay Avenue into a drive-up testing site. Recently, the demand for testing has skyrocketed, so we have partnered with New City Fellowship to provide testing twice a week in the church parking lot. In February, we were able to receive COVID vaccines from the Hamilton County Health Department and have been administering them in the community ever since. We have provided COVID vaccines at local churches, ministry partners, community centers, in homes, homeless encampments, schools, the public library, and of course, our pediatric clinic. Children need healthy parents, families, and communities to thrive. We see our COVID testing and vaccine initiatives for adults as a critical way to contribute to the health of the community around the children we serve. We also hired additional staff to assist with COVID testing and vaccine services. The growing need for pediatric mental health services has been on our mind for a while. In 2020, 81 Lifespring families expressed a need for mental health services, and our pediatric clinic experienced